everybody. It's a Wednesday. That means only one thing. It's time now for Supernatural News and Parashare right here on Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. And you know what? Hey, we need to co-host this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get on my magic carpet right here. It's underneath me. Actually, it's shaped like an alien. You want to see it? It's very small. It's only meant for me. See, it's only this big. It's an alien. I'm not lying to you. I have a magic carpet. If you're watching on video, it's right here. Let me throw it over there. I'll get on my magic carpet. I'll go right across the Twin Cities, and I'll go get my partner in crime. She's intelligent. She's witty. She's broken every record known to the Hindustan Times for her 3 best-selling books, at least in Hindustan, wherever that is. Also, she's easy on the eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is to help me crash this thing into an iceberg. Jessica Freeburg. Jess, how you doing?
I'm good. I love the visual of you and I just flying across the metro on your little magic carpet.
My little magic alien carpet?
Yeah, you're going to be sitting on it. I'm just going to be hanging on to the bottom of it with my legs dangling.
It's very small.
Screaming, wee!
It's the first time I've ever admitted how small it is in front of a female. But it's down there. Yeah.
It's a pretty small carpet, Tim. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I've seen bigger.
And I'm sorry. And it's shaped like an alien. An alien.
And it's green. What's up with that?
Well, and it needs to be cleaned.
All right, keep your dirty green carpet to yourself. I'll just drive over. I'll hitchhike. That sounds safer.
I got a Who carpet. That doesn't sound right either. I've got a Who carpet.
Oh, my.
Jim Carrey would be proud.
It's already started.
All the Who's in Whoville went, what the fuck is that? I don't know. And I've already started with profanity. Anywho, it's Supernatural News and Parashare Day. Speaking of, we actually have a Parashare. You sloughs were lazy with your weed and your Easter candy, and you couldn't be bothered writing in today. So guess what? Jessica's doing your job for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm bringing it.
You're bringing it today. Jess has her own Parashare today, so she'll share her own paranormal experience. Thank you, Jess, for doing that today.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. So we'll hear Jessica's Parashare right after the break today. We'll do that. Interesting stories today, Jess. The strongest evidence of alien life discovered on a nearby exoplanet. We'll talk about that today. Boy, oh boy. You're going to like this. Not only has Ted Sarandos of Netflix come out and told us why he thinks AI is the bee's knees, but we could also be using AI to talk to dolphins. That's coming up in our AI news. Talking to dolphins. Oh, what will they think of next? The body of Jesus, by the way, happy Easter, might have been found in the Great Pyramid of Egypt. What the? Boy, were we off on that one. So much for all those Sunday school lessons.
Throw them all out the window.
Yep. Welcome to the Heretic Hour here on Supernatural News. We also have some paranormal things to talk about. The story of a mom who passed away, and then the guy's wife saw something that shook her to the core. A little bit of a ghost story to talk about today as well. And then our palate cleanser today is kind of an interesting scenario. What happens, Jess, when you find a 46,000-year-old Stone Age amulet, but it turns out to be a gummy bear?
What?
Yeah.
Is it a special gummy bear?
It might be after 46,000 years.
It probably fermented. It's got to be.
Oh, I'll just put it to you this way. If one of the chippers got into it, I think they'd probably be seeing shit for about a year and a half. Yeah. I can't imagine they'd take it. They already take blueberries and squirrel them away for about a week.
They're making wine.
Well, they eat them after they ferment for a bit, and then I think they sit in the corner of the garage and look at the walls.
Little addicts.
They are, yeah. They know what to do with the fruit.
You're going to have to come over and have a little AA chat with them.
Yeah, well, that'll be fun. Sit around and try to do 12 steps with them. And they're like, later, lady. Look at that. They're in the corner.
He's going to sit over here and play with my nuts.
Yep, exactly. Whoa, that too. Did I tell you last weekend, one of the females woke up. I think it was probably Snowball. And boy, was she just mate chatting away. She was but she was using the corner of the garage that had the best acoustics and was driving me nuts for an entire day. Just cheep, 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 cheep. She was just letting out a mating call because it's the females who yell at the boys because the boys are lazy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that's true across all animals, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And so she woke up and was like, "Hey, over here, boys, horny, 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 horny." And she did it all day long. And finally, I went over, I took a picture of her. She was sitting on the back of one of my office chairs in the garage. And I went, "Hey, having any luck?" And she looked at me like, "Why are you yelling at me?"
And look at her, though. She found the place with the best acoustics so that it's really gets the most bang for her buck.
And she was sitting up high. She knew to sit up high, project, use the acoustics of the garage.
That a girl. She's like like theater animal.
She's like the Beyonce of chipmunks. She was up there. She was loud and proud. And then I come in and I'm like, "Hey, anything happening?" She's like, "Oh, Dad." She gave me one of those looks.
Like busted.
God, did you just go somewhere?
Go away. You're so annoying.
Yeah, you're so annoying. Don't you know what time of year it is? God. I got one of those. So I had to go back out on the porch, sit out there and drink my vanilla Coke and pretend like
let her do her thing.
Pretend I didn't see anything. Sorry. So I did. I just wanted to sorry. Yeah, so that's life around my house. Pretty exciting, huh?
It is. It's always exciting with your squirrels and chipmunks and I don't know. It's like a little fairyland over there.
I guess.
And you're Cinderella.
And I'm Cinderella. I'm Snow White. Look at me. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like your princess, Tim.
Yeah. Woo. Pretty exciting. All right. Suppose we should get to the news, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
I couldn't thrill anybody anymore with that story, could I? Speaking of life and life around my house, I also have a cardinal that's been talking to me for the last 4 days. I go sit on my...
Really?
I do. I have a recording of this cardinal. Actually, I have a video of this cardinal. By the way, I put up the blog since you're watching this video. If you're watching this video right now, I've been busy putting up video up at the Original Darkness Radio on YouTube of all the different shows that you're watching right now. You've probably seen the video of Kelly Brink and her True Crime Tuesday show. You might have seen Amy Bruni from last week, the Food to Die For segment in the Food to Die For show. By the way, that book is amazing. Recipes are amazing in that book. And I've been making many, many recipes out of that book. Yeah. Okay. So this cardinal, and I've got video of this cardinal from today. Let me see if I can turn on the sound here. This little cardinal is probably just sitting up there tweeting at me.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. Just sitting, and this cardinal's been doing this for like the last 4 days. Just sitting up in that tree. And that tree is sitting right across from my porch. But it, like, no sooner do I sit on my porch than this cardinal flies over and boom, sits right on that branch, that exact same branch, and starts tweeting at me.
Do you have some food out for him?
I put plenty of food out, and I call the cardinal down. And I say, "Come on down. We got peanuts. We got seeds. Come on down."
Yeah.
Doesn't come down. Just sits there and talks to me. Just tweet, 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 tweet. But the minute I go to get up, or the minute I go in the house, it'll disappear. Then it'll fly away. It'll only stay there as long as I stay there and talk to it. And I know that looks crazy as shit to the neighbors. But
it makes me wonder if like maybe it's a loved one
right?
coming as a cardinal.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. But it will, if I sit there for 20 minutes, it'll sit there for 20 minutes and tweet at me.
I love that.
But then the minute I get up, if I get up, go get something to drink, go to the bathroom, I get up to go get something, it'll fly away.
Do you have any like sense of like if it could be a loved one? Like, does it feel like does it remind you of someone when you see it?
Yeah. I'll keep it between you and I off air. But yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, it was someone's specialist birthday this past week. So.
Yeah. That's what it feels like to me. So,
yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. So, but it's just kind of nice to have this little cardinal. Actually, it's a pretty big cardinal and very bright red. Very pretty.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a large cardinal.
Yeah, it's very big. Very big cardinal. So.
You can't miss that one.
No. And it keeps, like I said, every time I go sit outside, and you know how cold it's been lately, you can't sit outside for very long, but
yeah.
But I go to change out seeds outside and for the chippers, and it just flies in and sits the minute I'm there. And will just sit there and chirp at me until I leave. Like it's trying to get a message through. So it's pretty cool. So I don't know how many people in our audience believe in that sort of stuff, but it's pretty cool to sit and watch. But I got the little video there. I don't know if I posted it or not. It's kind of because I'm talking to it and I sound crazy as shit. But if I could mute it and post it, I might. Let's get to our news, shall we? Interstellar news first. We'll talk about the strongest ever evidence of alien life discovered on a nearby exoplanet. The James Webb Space Telescope has found strong evidence of life on a planet situated 124 light years away. What's interesting is this story is being pulled from places like the Daily Mail, and I wonder why. Oh. It's been pulled from a couple different news sources, Jess.
So it's out and then they take it off because they don't want us to see it.
I don't know. I found it in one place this week.
Interesting.
Which makes me wonder. The discovery of extraterrestrial life on a planet other than our own would undoubtedly be one of the most groundbreaking finds in human history, an achievement that could change how we see ourselves and force us to take a long, hard look at our place in the cosmos. Now, scientists believe they have discovered the strongest evidence yet of an alien life on an extrasolar world known as K2-18b, which is situated 124 light years away. Observations using the James Webb Space Telescope have identified two chemicals, dimethyl sulfide and diethyl sulfide, so DMS and DMDS, in its atmosphere. This is important because these two chemicals are typically only known to produce or be produced by life. While the discovery is extremely exciting, it doesn't quite represent conclusive proof of alien life, though it has been hailed as the strongest sign yet that this alien world has the potential for life. K2-18b itself is around 9 times as massive as the Earth and at least 2.6 times as large. It orbits in the habitable zone of a red dwarf star, which is around half the size of the sun. This is the strongest evidence to date for biological activity beyond the solar system, said astrophysicist Professor Nico, I believe this is Madhusidin, I believe, of the University of Cambridge. We are very cautious. We have to question ourselves both on whether the signal is real and what it means. Decades from now, we may look back at this point in time and recognize it was when the living universe came within reach. This could be the tipping point where suddenly the fundamental question of whether we're alone in the universe is one we're capable of answering. But yeah, strange, Jess, that this story has been put out there, and it was put out there by multiple media sources. And then slowly it's getting pulled away. And I don't know if it's because they want to be more cautious with the data or because they might have jumped the gun on something or because they're going, woo, wait a minute, don't put it out there yet because we think we might have found more. You know, I don't know.
Suspicious.
It is suspicious. Now, we had a story a couple of weeks ago about Dyson spheres, and they were talking about, could a Dyson sphere be built around the Earth? And the gist of that story was, in order to build a Dyson sphere around Earth, it basically would tear apart our atmosphere and would cause major global warming issues. And they were saying to build one around Earth would be insufficient, and you couldn't do it. It would tear us apart. This next story says Dyson spheres can only be built in one type of star system, according to this new study. The megastructure, first proposed by physicist Freeman Dyson, who makes a hell of a vacuum cleaner, may be possible, but with very specific limitations. Now, more than 50 years ago, Dyson proposed the possibility that a sufficiently advanced extraterrestrial race might be able to completely surround a star with a huge spherical structure and then harness the entirety of that star's energy. Such a structure would be incomprehensibly large, akin to putting together something much larger than the Death Star from Star Wars, and with the added complexity of building it around a stellar body. While the idea has been explored by scientists for years, the biggest problem with such a structure, aside from the tremendous amount of time and resources needed to build one, would be actually keeping it tethered in place. Now, though, a new study headed up by Colin McGuinness, who is an engineer for the University of Glasgow, has potentially found a solution to this, and is all to do with building the Dyson sphere around a star in a binary star system, or one with two stars, as opposed to around a single solitary star. He found that under very specific circumstances, where the binary system has one star that is very much smaller than the other, a stable Dyson sphere could be constructed around the smaller star and be held in place with its movement around the larger star acting as a gravitational anchor. The smaller star would need to be 10 times smaller than its partner, and the sphere itself would also have to be very thin. Otherwise, its own gravity would mess up the balance. But while this could theoretically make such a structure plausible, it doesn't take into account engineering concerns such as the stresses placed on its outer shell. Of course, if an advanced alien civilization built something like this, they may have been able to solve these types of issues. Ultimately, though, without actually finding one of these somewhere out in space, we may never know for sure whether or not a Dyson sphere could ever actually be built in practice. I don't know, Justin. It seems like it's kind of unlikely that we would ever run into one of these in space. I think if we did, it'd be somewhat of a minor miracle. The size of it would be, the size would be huge. I mean, yeah. But to run into one with a binary star would be massive. I mean, you would know there was life on another planet if you ran into a binary. I was going to say,
there's no way you'd miss that. That would be the surest of sure signs.
We'd be able to see it through a telescope. We wouldn't have to go out there with a spaceship. Yeah, it would be more than obvious, that's for sure. All right, this next story, and I can't believe that we're already at that point where we're almost near break. But our last story before we go to break has to do with, we talk about what would we do if something hit the Earth and, a major catastrophe happened, right? In this case, something hit the Earth and a major catastrophe happened to one person. In this case, it was an auto shop repair guy. A mystery object smashes through the roof of an auto shop in New Jersey. And if that happens, do you hear an auto mechanic scream? I guess that's the that's the question here. The shop's owner arrived for work early, only to discover a large hole in a pile of debris where the object had struck. CCTV and doorbell cameras in the immediate vicinity of the auto repair shop, which is situated in Magnolia, New Jersey, captured the moment that a bright flash lit up the sky and a mysterious object plummeted from the heavens and straight through the roof at 2:30 a.m. back on April 9th. When owner Sebastian Leonardo arrived for work the following day, the first thing that he noticed was the large hole in the ceiling and the mess of debris all over the floor. Further signs of damage were found after employees climbed up to take a closer look. A sizable dent in thick steel gauge box, said Leonardo. That's when I went to all of my cameras and found the video and realized what had actually happened. A flash outside and the impact in here. You eventually see a giant fireball come through the ceiling and everything comes flying down. It wasn't clear exactly what had hit the shop, but the most likely explanation is that it was a meteorite, although it's also possible that a piece of space debris was responsible. There's a bright flash, and then there's a boom, and then there's a hole. That's 3 out of 4 things, said astronomer Derek Pitts. If we had one more thing, like an item that we could identify as being extraterrestrial, then we might say it's something from space. It says that we can check out a local news report about the incident. I'm going to post this on the description of the podcast so you can watch the video yourself and determine whether this was a meteorite. I'll tell you this much, Jess. I'm going to hold up the picture here to the screen. As Jesse Ventura used to say, you tell me, Jess, you tell me.
Wow. That is really bright.
That's a bright hole in the roof, but I'll tell you this much. Looking at the size of the hole there.
It's huge. You can see so much sky through that hole.
Now, I'll tell you the other thing I think it might be. That kind of looks like waste from an airplane when it freezes. You know? So it might be that too.
Oh, that's terrible. I hope not.
I know, right? Although normally when something like that crashes through the roof, like if it's a meteorite, it's sitting on the floor.
Right. So then there's something left.
Right. How come they didn't say we found a meteorite on the floor of the shop?
But even if it was an airplane poo, wouldn't there be poo on the floor? Like,
not if it's an ice ball, because the ice ball would melt. If he came in,
it would melt and just be icky poo.
It should. Unless it really, unless it was a pee ball and Ew. It melted and then it was just blue goo all over the floor. And if it seeped into the floorboards, then you wouldn't find it. Mm. And if it's a cement floor that's got a drain, it might have all went down the drain.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting the hole to be so big.
Right. It's, that's what he said. No. But
I made that too easy.
You did. But yeah, there's this giant hole in the roof and you got to ask yourself, okay, well, yeah, it could be a meteor, but you know, what are the other things that could hit the roof?
I mean, the idea of like space junk flying out of the sky is like one of my scariest thoughts. Just like you're walking down the street and one day a chunk of space debris falls and hits you.
Well, that's the other thing too, is we're thinking, they're thinking meteorite, but let's face it. There are satellites that are being destroyed by not just our country, but other countries. The Soviets destroy their satellites all the time. When they decide they're done with a satellite, they just, boom, blow up a satellite in space and let it fall to Earth. Well, some of that stuff gets through the atmosphere.
Right.
And you may have had a piece of a satellite rain down and go through your roof. It's not unheard of.
Boy, we really know how to create problems for ourselves.
Right. So to say meteorite, well, it's a decent guess, but there's other things that can fall through your roof. It's not just, it's not just rocks from above. And
That's wild.
It is wild. And when you ask scientists, what are the chances of an anomaly like a meteorite falling to Earth, making it through the atmosphere, actually making contact with the Earth, they're pretty far odds for something that size that went through the roof to hit your residence or your shop, come through the roof and actually come close to damaging somebody or something. So, I mean, if you had to put an insurance policy out and bet on it paying off for you, chances are you wouldn't collect on that.
Right.
In this lifetime. You have a better chance of winning the lottery. But this guy, he would have collected had he put that policy out there. So, interesting stuff. All right. We're going to take our break. When we come back, Ted Sarandos of Netflix says he believes the bigger opportunity with AI in filmmaking is if you can make the movies 10% better, not that they're cheaper. We'll find out what he means by that. I don't know. I don't think we're there yet, but supposedly he says that. I've heard the same thing from TV execs too. They believe that AI is going to make especially our own paranormal programming much better. So we'll dive into those weeds for a moment and talk about that. Because that's kind of why you're not seeing new original ghost hunting programming anymore.
Right.
We'll also talk about the Aaron Goodwin case. There's a breakthrough in the Aaron Goodwin case this week. And it happened after we had got off the air last week with Supernatural News. We'll tell you exactly what is going on in that case. His now ex-wife has entered into a plea agreement. And we'll tell you all about that and what people think about that. I can tell you this much. It's not going over very well. We'll talk about that when we get back from break. Jesus Christ, is he really in Egypt? We'll talk about that as well. I don't know that I believe it, but there might be some evidence that the body of Jesus is actually in Egypt. We'll talk about that. And our palate cleanser today, Amulet or Delicious Gummy Bear. It's 64,000 years old. You decide. It's all coming up next. Oh, and by the way, Jess has her Parashare story. We'll talk about that after the break. When we come back right here on Supernatural News and Parashare. It's a Wednesday right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio on a Wednesday. Supernatural News and Parashare. I'm Tim Dennis along with Jessica Freeburg. Jess, it is still unseasonably cold. It is almost May. I don't get what's going on with this weather.
I don't care for it.
I don't care for it. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to get to it right now. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. It doesn't make me happy. There we go. See, I did it. See, the minute I do it, we just get to the music and we just get right to the AI news and we can get it over with.
Take your medicine, Tim.
That's right. Take my medicine like a good boy. Ted Sarandos is in the news, Jess, saying the bigger opportunity with AI in filmmaking is if you can make movies 10% better, not just cheaper. The Netflix CEO or co-CEO cited James Cameron, of all people, in his recent statement that the technology could cut production costs in half, which it has. Unfortunately, it's also made things disappear when it comes to the paranormal world.
Yeah.
Such as a lot of your favorite paranormal stars. Artificial or not, Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos has some ideas on how artificial intelligence could make films better. During the company's first quarter earnings call on Thursday, Sarandos said that he believes that the real opportunity for AI in filmmaking, if they can help films to be 10% better, not just 50% cheaper. Sarandos cited James Cameron's recent comments about how the technology could cut production costs in half. He said there's a ton of excitement about what AI can do for content creators, Sarandos said on the call. I read the article too about what Jim Cameron said about making movies 50% cheaper. I remain convinced that there's an even bigger opportunity if you can make movies 10% better. So our talent today is using AI tools to set references, previs, VFX, sequence prep, shot planning, all kinds of things today that kind of make the process better. He added, traditionally, only big budget projects would have access to things like advanced visual effects such as de-aging. Today, you can use these AI-powered tools to enable small budget projects to have access to big VFX on screen. Sarandos pointed to Martin Scorsese's 2019 film, The Irishman, as an example of what AI could achieve. The film used VFX de-aging effects for its central characters, played by Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, across decades. Sarandos explained that if the feature was made today, AI would have enhanced and eased the project or process for a fraction of the budget and have an improved result on screen. If you remember the movie, Sarandos went on to say, we were using a very cutting-edge, very expensive de-aging technology that still had massive limitations, still created a bunch of complexity on set for the actors, Sarandos said. It was a giant leap forward for sure, but nowhere near what we needed for that film. Irishman cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto later made his directorial debut with Pedro Paramo, which used AI-powered tools to de-age its stars. According to Sarandos, the effects cost a fraction of the tech for The Irishman. An insider told IndieWire that Pedro Paramo incorporated a tool called Vanity AI, which is the proprietary tool for visual effects studio Mars, or Monsters, Aliens, Robots, and Zombies. That's what the acronym is. It has been used on films and series like Spider-Man, No Way Home, Stranger Things Season 4, Gaslit, First Ladies, and Being the Ricardos. And the source said the tool was instrumental in achieving the much better results and creative experience than what Prieto was able to achieve following his experience on The Irishman. In fact, the entire budget of the film was about the VFX cost on The Irishman, Sarandos added in the call. So same creator using new tools, better tools to do what would have been impossible 5 years ago. That's incredibly exciting. So our focus is simple. Find ways for AI to improve the member and the creator experience. Avatar director James Cameron previously said during the Boz to the Future podcast that AI would be key to minimizing costs for films and also make for shorter development time. If we want to continue to see kinds of movies that I've always loved and that I like to make and that I would go to see, Dune Part 2, or one of my films, or big effects-heavy, CG-heavy films, we've got to figure out how to cut the costs in half, Cameron said. He added, now that's not about laying off half the staff and at the effects company. That's about doubling the speed to completion on a given shot. So your cadence is faster and your throughput cycle is faster, and artists get to move on and do other cool things and then other cool things, right? That's my sort of vision for that. Well, I get what James Cameron is saying, but this is where creative butts heads with management. Because James Cameron is saying, well, don't lay off the creative because the creative is needed. Sarandos is saying, well, but we see where we can get away with laying off creative because AI is doing the work. And as AI gets better, we don't need as many creative. We have the visionary who can put it there, and AI can take over and do the work. And we can save money. We can save half of what we've been spending on these films. And in a similar vein, even 3-4 years ago, as they were talking about getting rid of the live ghost hunting shows, getting rid of the live paranormal shows, and scaling back, the talk was, you know what, reenactment shows are where it's at. And the thought amongst the execs at the bigger networks was, well, the paranormal public isn't really digging ghost hunting shows. They're not really digging, shows like, I don't even want to mention the specific shows because I don't want the blowback from this audience here. But let's just say some of the shows that went away, they were seeing a decrease in viewership, which does happen over time. Every show has a decrease in viewership. It doesn't maintain a specific high and stay there week after week. You see fluctuations, you see ebbs and flows, right? So the networks would say, well, being that we're seeing ebbs and flows, you must not be interested. And that would happen. What would happen is you'd see the season premiere come out. And I'll give you a good example. And this is why I do encourage you. It doesn't matter what the show is. Ghost Adventures. Their season premiere came out already. Boom, they're going to hit with a fever pitch. You're going to see record numbers of a new season that's not, Haunted Mansion or anything like that. It's brand new episodes, brand new locations. People are going to be excited for it because finally it's a ghost hunting show, right? But then it's going to do this, Jess. It's going to drop off the table. It's going to be week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8. And it's going to do that slow drop in ratings. And it's not because the product is bad. It's not. It's good. It's still the same old Ghost Adventures if not better, because they're finding new twists, new equipment, new stories.
Right.
And they're trying to keep it fresh. It's not that. What it is the audience goes, okay, well, it's spring. Now we're going into summer. Now we've got kids' activities. Now I'll watch it on my DVR. Well, I put it on my DVR, but I'll get to it. And then I forgot that it aged on my DVR, and now it doesn't count towards the ratings.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't watch it in time, and it doesn't count. Whoops. I'll get to it, or I want to binge it. I'm just going to let it sit on my DVR and not binge it. They don't get credit for it. Okay. So be it. Because you're not doing a service to that show. I know a lot of people love to binge it. I'll just collect it and I'll binge it. Okay. So be it. When your favorite show goes away, don't complain, right?
Right.
That's all there is to it. Likewise, the networks have this strange idea that you want to see things off of a computer be reenacted. That you want to see reenacted monsters rather than live scares. Or rather than live phenomena or something real. I've never known one person who's actually into the paranormal that wants to see something manifested off a computer. I don't know, Jess, do you?
No, I want to see it for real.
So I don't get why they think there's this death of the investigative program out there. I don't get it. I mean, it's nice to have what's out there that's out there. And I'm okay with the outdoorsy shows. I'm okay with the Bigfoot hunts and all that other stuff. That's fine. But there's a distinct lack of paranormal investigative shows.
Yeah, do you think part of it is like production costs in terms of like, yes, it's a reality show, but with paranormal, you have to go back and analyze the evidence and you have to spend you have to have someone in post-production or in production, like listening to and watching all of the videos and that evidence and all that kind of thing. I would think that would cost a little bit more than your average reality show and probably more than recreating things. It's just that piece of it because there's so much to piece together.
When you talk about what a paranormal TV show costs as compared to, like, say, a written drama or a written sitcom, it costs a quarter to a half of what that costs.
Right. But do you think like that in comparison to, like, I don't know, we're binging 1,000-Pound Sisters right now, and I love it. Yeah. Okay, so compare that to a paranormal program with live investigations and all that evidence that has to be analyzed and then cut and pieced together. And it just seems like maybe it's a little more expensive and they can get away with cheaper things. I don't know.
I'm sure there's a little more travel cost to it.
Yeah, that too.
But ultimately, I think it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. There's not very much more unless they're going over to Europe and back. I mean,
so we just need to watch it in a timely fashion.
Yeah, I think there's, and the other thing is there's not, let's face it, the numbers aren't as good. You know, I mean, there's only been 3 shows that have flirted with 1 million viewers.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a lot. And there's been a few shows that have flirted with 500,000 to 750,000. And that's not a lot. So it doesn't really pay for the network to invest in live paranormal programming.
Right.
When they can say, you know what? Well, we can put on a scary story, a reenactment, and hey, I was part of one of those reenactment shows. You know, it's cheap to do. They can bring in a bunch of so-called experts to sit in a chair and comment on reenacted stories all day long. And it's pretty cheap to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll get about the same rating that these live paranormal shows will. You guys,
and they don't have to fly people anywhere, you know, except for the experts coming in.
Experts, and they come to a studio.
The whole crew,
right?
Okay.
They'll put you up in a hotel that's right next to the studio, and they come to you. You don't go anywhere. So you know. And now it's getting cheaper. Now they're sending you the equipment, and you're filming it at your house. You have a screen behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know paranormal caught on camera. I think they're doing they're doing the work at their house.
Now that's convenient.
And it's done it's done VoIP. I mean, it's all done. You know, it's all done over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's pretty simple. It's a cheap production. So with that, it's I can see why Ted Sarandos is saying we're going to make a boatload off this AI thing. I still would, and that's why YouTube has taken off so much. That's why you've got 300, 400, 500,000 people watching an investigative show on YouTube, if not more. You know?
Yeah.
Or close to 1 million on some shows, watching per episode. Because they can trust what they're seeing. They know you're not faking them out on YouTube.
Right.
So it's an interesting thing. I don't know that we'll ever get back to the days of network investigative shows ever again.
Well, you know, we just have to adapt. You know, we have to pivot. Life is all about pivoting, and we're not going to get rid of AI, and that's never going anywhere. We're always going to have it. We just have to figure out different ways of doing things and adapt to what's happening around us.
I don't mind AI in a good story, in a good movie.
Yeah.
You know, and if we're telling paranormal fiction stories, that's fine.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't
keep it out of our paranormal investigations.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, you know, there's a line but we can still have paranormal reality shows. And I think,
although if I could upload a night of investigative audio and just have AI tag all of the anomalies, that'd be great.
Boy, that's asking for trouble though. For as bad as facial recognition is right now, can you imagine all the problems you would have with AI trying to pick out anomalies?
That's true. I don't know. I just if I go deaf, it's going to be because of all the hours I've sat with headphones on, just listening at high volume, my recordings so that I could try to hear the voice in the background.
See, that's the problem is EVP really is subjective.
Yeah.
And AI is supposed to be objective.
That's true.
So it picks out an artifact. If an artifact is an artifact, it picks it out.
Right.
And it grabs it. So, what is that you're grabbing?
And it won't, if it's a class A EVP, it's not going to know that it's not one of us talking. So It's not going to know.
So it's not, exactly. It's not going to know. If you have a class A EVP, it'll assume it's just somebody else talking. It'll skip over it. Yeah.
You're going to miss all the good stuff. Darn it.
Yeah. So it's not reliable.
No, it's not. You need real people.
That's right. You still need real people. That's right. That's a good way to wrap up that story. That's for sure. All right. Meanwhile, there's a new AI model out there that could make it possible for us to talk to dolphins. You ever wanted to talk to a dolphin?
I'd love to talk to a dolphin while I'm riding it under a rainbow. Of course.
There's a list of demands. Google is developing a new AI model in an attempt to understand and replicate dolphin whistles and clicks. The ability to have a conversation with a dolphin might seem like something out of a comic book, but thanks to the advent of artificial intelligence, it might not be long before we can do this for real. Google, in collaboration with the Wild Dolphin Project, I didn't know that was a thing, is currently working on a new AI model called Dolphin Gemma that could one day make it possible to translate dolphin sounds. The search giant has been training the AI using sounds from the Wild Dolphin Project's acoustic archive. We still don't actually know if dolphin sounds form words or sentences as we know them, so translating their vocalizations is certainly not going to be easy. If it is at all possible, however, then the new AI would eventually make it possible to translate what dolphins are saying and respond to them in their own language. Google has ensured that the model can run on relatively low-spec hardware, meaning that it could be loaded onto mobile devices for use in the field. Tell you what, there's a video about this very subject, and I'm going to take and post it in the description of this program so you can see what it would take to talk to dolphins with AI. Having done the whole swimming with dolphins thing in the ocean, and then having them chatter at you and form something that seems like words, I could see where there'd be a small jump to actually talking to them.
I think it would be super cool. I think dolphins, they're incredibly smart.
Well, they're very intelligent. Yeah. They're very intelligent. And they understand human commands.
Yeah. I think we could learn a thing or two.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to sit and read Shakespeare to you, but, they don't have that much patience. But they definitely understand you. I mean, as far as that goes. Before we get to any more stories, did you have a Parashare, right?
I do. Yes. I'm missing Parashares. We haven't had one for a little bit. Yeah. So I was like, hey, I'll do a Parashare. Maybe it will inspire some of our listeners to share some of their stories too, because I think they're so fun.
All right.
So this episode of my life started in 2005. We moved to this area around Minneapolis, and we had a 2.5-year-old, and I was extremely pregnant, like 8 months pregnant. And we lived with my parents at first while we looked for a house, and we finally found a house. It was super cute. It just had 2 bedrooms. So we kind of joked we're already going to outgrow it, right away after we move in. But before we could move in, my water broke early and I had my baby. So I had my middle child, actually signed the paperwork for the house in the hospital while I was in labor.
Oh my gosh.
We were supposed to be buying it that day and I went into labor. But that all leading up to the first night in the house, I was in the hospital having the baby. I had a C-section, so I was there for a few days and people had unpacked everything and set it all up for us, which was so sweet. And I came home to the house, and my first night there, I was laying in bed and I looked up from my bed and I saw a shadow man, very classic shadow man standing at the foot of my bed. But in my brain, at first, my thought was, is someone standing outside our window? And I wasn't very oriented with the house. I'd only been in there. That was my first night. And I had to think for a minute. And then I remembered we're on the second floor. So it'd be physically impossible for someone to be outside the window casting a shadow inside. A shadow was in the house and it was standing in front of my bed. And I've had a lot of paranormal experiences. I could probably fill up many episodes with a Parashare. So when I saw it, my first thought was, I want to get up and touch it.
No.
I did. I got out of bed and I walked over because I'm like, is it real? Is it really there? And I walked up and I like poked my finger at it and it felt very cold in that spot. There was no solidness to it. And so I like backed up, just still watching it, got back under my covers. And when I was younger and was having scary experiences, my dad would tell me to tell things to go away in the name of the Lord, like call on the name of the Lord and cast it away.
Mm-hmm.
So I, just said, go away in the name of the Lord. And then it was gone. But this was like a pretty long episode from when I first saw it and sat there and kind of watched it and like tried to figure out like, where was it coming from? So it was quite, maybe 5 minutes or more that this thing was standing there looking at me. And that was really the beginning of a very crazy 2-year experience of living in this new house that had a lot of paranormal activity going on. My kids were very little, so my son was 2.5. My daughter was a baby when this all first started happening. And I was just starting to do some writing as well. So I'd get the kids to bed at night, and then I would sit downstairs in our living room in my little rocking chair and write my stories. And one night I was sitting down there after I saw the man, fast forward a couple months probably. I was sitting down there in the chair and there was this room in the back. There was a little hallway that went down and this room in the back that was unfinished. And we also had our laundry stuff back there. But it eventually became a bedroom and a bathroom. But it was just down this dark hallway in this unfinished area. And I'm sitting there by myself. Everyone's in bed. It's probably like midnight-ish. And this little ball that my son had, a little round, red, bouncy ball, plastic ball, came rolling down that hallway. And for a second, I was like, oh, there must be a breeze. There was a door back there that went out to the garage. And so I thought, well, maybe we left the door open and there's a breeze. But that ball rolled down that hallway. And then it took a hard right. And it rolled down the side of the wall to the sliding glass door, and it took a hard left. It kept rolling until it stopped in front of my feet.
Oh no.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to bed. So I just packed up my laptop and I just went up to bed. I was like, not here for this right now. But I had so many creepy feelings in that back area. And in that back area, we just had kind of stuffed stuff that we weren't using at the time. We had a refrigerator and it had, the classic fridge with the freezer on top, and we'd store extra meat in there and beer and, whatnot. Mm-hmm. We had our washer and dryer, and we had a dresser that my husband's grandmother had given to us, and just stuff like that, But every time I'd go back into that laundry room to do laundry, and my back was to that bigger room behind me with all that stuff in it, it felt so much like somebody was watching me that I would often say out loud, I'm just doing laundry, don't bother me. Because I truly felt like somebody was in there with me every time I went back there. Fast forward now a little bit further, and we're having a stormy night, and it's a lot of thunder and lightning, and it woke my son up. And he came downstairs and he crawled up on my lap. I was sitting down there writing again. And so it's just him and me. It was probably, again, 11 o'clock or somewhere around there. And I was explaining to Logan why it's not scary. Thunder is not scary. It's just God upstairs, like letting us know that he's around and it's not scary. And he sits on my lap in that rocking chair. And he looks down that hallway and he points his finger down the hallway and he says, it's not scary like that man. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, nope, that man's not scary either. And then I just scoop him up and I took him upstairs and tucked him in. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on in our house? And it all seemed to be like centralized in that back room. So often there was such a bad feeling down there. Over the course of 2 years, we had big stuff like that happening. We also had just little things happening. We'd leave and we'd come home. We had 2 garage doors that came into the house, one by that back room and one that was up in the kitchen. We'd come home and both those doors would be wide open. And we're like, we did not leave these doors open. This is crazy. Why does this keep happening? We'd walk in the house and the kids' toys would be playing. My son had this one stand-up toy that he would stand at. You push the buttons, it would play music, and you turn a page and it would play a song. We'd walk in the door and that thing would be going like mid-song. We'd be sitting at the dinner table eating and it would start going in the middle of dinner. And we'd have to try to explain to Logan why that's not scary either.
Oh, God.
It was just like stuff like that. Another toy that went off all the time was this little Fisher-Price zoo that we had.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a little monkey on it, which you would love.
Oh, yeah.
But you pushed a button and the monkey would go shooting up and hit this little banana and go, super cute.
Mm-hmm.
Not cute when it's going off in the middle of the night.
Right.
It would go off in the middle of the night all the time. I think it would be in the kid's closet and it would be like nothing touching it. It would be on a shelf and it would just start going in the middle of the night and wake the kids up. They also had this like kitchenette that they could play at, and you could set the languages on it to English, Spanish, and French. And we always had it on English because it was supposed to be like teaching them, words and stuff. And they were so little. And that freaking thing would go off all the time in the middle of the night. And it would just always be in French too, which was really weird. I'd be going in there like, I'm taking the batteries out. Like, what is with this thing? Another really scary episode was when I was in bed with my daughter. So my middle child, she was like, 1.5, maybe 2 at this time. It's a little bit later on when things were going on. Lights were going off on their own and just all these things constantly. But she would lay in bed at night with her blanket so tight over her face that her little eye sockets could be seen. Like she just had it pulled so tight. And she was just scared. And she would sometimes like point in the corner. And this night I was laying with her and she was, had her blanket over and I pulled it down and she looks over in the corner and she points up and I'm not even exaggerating. There was this black shadow gunk. I mean, what didn't really have a form. It just was like going up the wall. And then it like went on the ceiling and it just came toward us.
Oh.
It was really bad. I mean, it was like, I like a good haunting.
Yeah.
But this like felt really icky. And it was like trying to scare my kids is what I felt like. Because it was doing all these things. The kids were scared all the time. I was in the bathroom once with Ella, and I watched something pull my hair up from my head in the mirror. And then drop it back down. Like I felt it and then I look in the mirror and I could see it happening. So it was very aggressive, right? And I was feeling like a crazy person. And I didn't really want to talk about it because, yes, I've been seeing ghosts for a very long time, but we had just moved here. I didn't really know anyone. And I was scared to be in my house. The thing that finally got me to talk about it was we were laying in bed one night and we heard this really loud thud, like a really loud boom down below us. And below us was that room with all the junk and the refrigerator. And my husband went downstairs thinking someone had broken into the house. And the freezer door was open and hamburger was across the room. Like it hadn't just fallen out. It was like across the room.
Whoa.
And my husband's like, we've got to do something. So I talked to his aunt who lived not far away from us. She was a very devout Catholic and she came over with holy water and tried to do that. And that did nothing to make it stop. And I talked to his mom, my husband's mom, and I'm like, I can't take this anymore. This is crazy. And I'm used to crazy, but this is too much. And she was like, do you have anything of my dad's? Okay. So her dad committed suicide long before I ever met their family. I think my husband was maybe 8 or 9 years old at the time. So this was a very long time ago. And I said, well, yeah, we have this, we have a few things that your mom gave us. I don't know if they were your dad's, but we have this old dresser down in this room. And she's like, what does it look like? And I described it to her. And she said, she's a very calm, rational person. She said, you take that dresser into the backyard and you bust it up into pieces and you set it on fire. And I'm like, what? Like, I can't do that. People will think I'm crazy. And also, why?
Yeah.
Turns out that was the dresser that had been her mom and dad's dresser. And, it was the dresser that he had kept all of his things in his whole life. And it may have been the place where he had kept his gun, which is what he used to end his life.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So we did get rid of the dresser, and I feel really bad because we donated it. And I know I shared this story on my horror story on the Travel Channel, and I still get messages from people, you shouldn't have donated that. And I'm like, I know I probably shouldn't have, but also I don't know that it would impact other people the way that it was impacting us. I think it was a personal thing more than anything. Yes, if I could go back in time, I would probably do it differently. But as soon as we got rid of it, everything stopped. So there was something attached to that dresser. But the weird thing is we had that dresser previously and I had never done that. So I don't know what the catalyst was.
Your kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was really scary.
I honestly believe it was the kids. It was the, they always say that children are so close to the veil, but their spiritual energy is so close to the veil. And the fact that Grandpa was around his grandchildren.
I know. Why was he being so scary though?
You think he was being scary.
Yeah.
But
maybe he wasn't.
No. And I don't know if you've ever, I mean, I don't know if you and I have ever talked about John Tenney's experience of being trapped in between worlds. I don't know where you believe your is it your father-in-law?
Yeah, or my husband's grandfather.
Husband's grandfather, sorry. Where he went when he committed suicide.
Well, I don't think that you go to a bad place when you commit suicide. I think that, it's like having cancer. You're not going to be punished for being sick.
Not saying he was punished, but
you know what I mean? But maybe you don't feel like you can go to the light if you've been raised in a very Christian faith that tells you that you don't get to if you kill yourself. And so then I think sometimes energies can be kind of stuck in limbo because they're afraid.
It's a matter of where he thought he was going to go.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah, that's a good point.
And he might be in a place where he's stuck.
Yeah. And that's kind of sad.
And there's if you ever, and maybe it's a thing that we talk about off air, but if you ever look up John Tenney and him talking about his experience, and there's also an experience I'll talk to you about off air too, about some mutual friends of ours who I helped them with one of their loved ones who was stuck. On the other side.
It's funny, I didn't think of it that way until you just said that, but that makes so much sense. And I will say it was scary, but not scary. It was more frustrating. Like I never had the sense that I'm so afraid. It was more like I was just getting so frustrated because the kids were afraid. Because how do you explain that to children?
In the case, and I'm not going to use any names, but in the case that was brought to my attention, it was a grandfather, and the grandfather wasn't reaching out to his daughter. He was reaching out to the granddaughter.
Yeah. Well, and that really has been the case with all of my grandparents who have passed. Even my husband's grandma who just passed. We've had so much activity in the house since she's gone. And I think I come to it now with a different perspective because I've been embracing all of this for well over a decade. But at that time, I was afraid of it. And I had grown up thinking, if it's not an angel, it's a demon, So then I was like, oh, because this didn't feel angelic. That's for darn sure. But, now it's like with all the little things that have happened, like Brielle was even ironing the other night, and she said, I thought in my head, it's kind of dark. I wish there was a light on, and a light across the room that you have to push a button on just popped on right as she thought that.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, it's grandma, so it wasn't nothing scary about it. And I feel like, yeah, I think you're right, Tim.
Yeah.
Crazy. Now I want to do a little shadow work with Grandpa.
See, there's such a thing as stuck energies that aren't necessarily bad. It's that they're frustrated.
Yeah. I think most energies, there are going to be some bad ones. There are some icky things out there, but I feel like most of them that I've encountered have been just that. Not really bad, but kind of in a low vibe space.
And from what I've learned from these stuck energies that are frustrated is they're in pain too. It's a sad thing to learn, but they're in pain because they're lonely. They're isolated. So imagine being in a dark space where as far as you can reach out, you can't touch anything. As far as you imagine shouting but not being able to be heard. And imagine trying to see but not seeing anything. And then trying to feel your way out of there and trying to reach and stretch and pushing against a boundary that you can't see, hear, taste, feel, but then eventually getting a little barrier of light and maybe being able to reach out to somebody and get through somehow. And somebody in your house, whether it be an object that they connected to in this life, or somebody in your house who has that kind of power to bring them forward, or is a portal or a doorway to them that brings them forward, has managed to bring them forward enough to where they can communicate to you. They can reach a little bit through that barrier. They can't break through that barrier, but they can reach forward and say something. It's scary to you because you don't recognize it. It looks like dark energy to you.
Right. And I think I reflect on this now. I think about this story and really like, I wish it would happen now instead of back then, because that time and everything happens as it should in the course of life as it should. But I wish I would have known then what I know now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because now I get that. Now I understand all that. You know, I know that myself and my kids, I kind of tell my kids, you're kind of like a lighthouse, right? Like energies know that you can notice it. And so they're not trying to be scary. They're not trying to hurt you. They just want someone to notice them. But also you don't have to, be available all the time. So it's okay to put your little bubble up. We do like a little bubble up visualization to just kind of turn it off or whatever. But I didn't know any of that stuff at that time.
So rather than if the kids feel like they can feel it and that they can communicate with it, tell them they don't have to open themselves up to it, but tell them to tell that energy, believe you can be saved and you will be.
I like that.
And just go be saved. Save yourself. Go be saved.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest advice you can give, because that essentially was what saved John Tenney. That's essentially what saved this other person, was prayer and praying and believing that they could be clutched out of this darkness by Jesus himself. To be pulled out of that darkness by Jesus himself. And that's what will get you out of that stuck position. It's belief, and it has to be the belief of the Spirit in order to get out of that stuck.
Right.
Yeah. But it can be done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think having people, in this space and in this realm who can notice you and help guide you to that understanding is helpful too.
Right. We as human beings can't push somebody to the light. We don't have that ability.
Free will choice.
Right. But
we got it all the way to the end.
Right. But if you feel you have the ability to communicate, you can send that intention to that person, or you can send that message to that person that they can have that power to move themselves.
Yeah.
Because we do have that power.
Yeah. Yeah. The first spirit I ever helped go to the light was completely by accident. And it was at a very well-known haunted place, and it was one of their main ghosts. So I'm not going to say what the place was. I was like, it was totally by accident, but it was some person who had committed suicide. And, it was like, and you could feel the sadness and the feeling of they weren't going to be accepted if they went. And so we were sitting there, we were filming for a documentary I was doing at the time, and all the equipment was going crazy and gangbusters. And I was asking it questions and I was feeling all these emotions from it. And those were guiding my questions. And, it basically was like spirit therapy. And I was like, you don't have to feel bad. You didn't do anything wrong, and you're going to be loved and accepted when you go. Your family's waiting for you, and they've been waiting a long time. And all of a sudden there was just, everyone felt it, this crazy swirl of energy, and everything in our equipment went off. And then bright, all the lights went off and all the flashlights went off and all the meters went crazy. And then everything just stopped. Mm-hmm. And I looked over at Natalie and I was like, oh shit, did I just cross a ghost over? I feel kind of bad. No. Because it's part of their story, but also like, wow, I didn't even know I could do that.
But see, now that you know what you know that you and yourself, I mean, I don't believe that any one of us humans is that powerful.
No, but it's just having the right words and feeling what they feel. Yeah, I shouldn't say I crossed it over. It was their decision, and so I shouldn't feel guilty about it at all.
No, you shouldn't. No, you just told them what they needed to hear. You told them. Yeah.
That place was featured on a show not that long ago, and Natalie and I were both watching to see if they talked about that spirit, and they did not. I'm like, I think she really crossed over. I think she really went to the happy place.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, it's that's one of the, like I said, we just had Amy Bruni on, and then one of the things that I think is most impressive about Amy and Adam and the way they investigate and the way that they work is when they talk to spirits, again, they talk to them like human beings.
Yeah. Yep.
And when they communicate with them in that exact tone. And again, communicate with them to give them that information. Like you would give any human sitting across from you and just say, you know what? You have your choices. Here are your choices. And,
yeah.
And when given information and choices, people make the choices that are correct, right?
Yeah, sometimes they just need someone to remind them that they're okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. That's the story.
Good story. Wow, Jess, you've been through a lot. Holy cow. Well, speaking of being through a lot, our good friend Aaron Goodwin has been through a lot, and it seems like he's going to go through a little bit more here. His soon-to-be ex-wife put in a plea agreement, and there's a lot of outrage, it seems like, in the paranormal community and the internet community, and even with Ghost Adventures fans. I don't know how I feel about it either. I'm kind of a little outraged myself. Ghost Adventures star Aaron Goodwin's wife won't be haunting him in a court of law, at least. She struck a plea deal to avoid a lengthy murder for hire trial and shorten her sentence. She shortened it quite a bit, to the point where it's almost obscene. Victoria Goodwin filed documents, and they were obtained by TMZ, informing the judge in Clark County, Nevada, that she intends to plead guilty to one of the two counts that she was facing for allegedly plotting to kill her famous husband. According to the documents, Goodwin says she's copying to conspiracy to commit murder, and in exchange, prosecutors will drop the charge of solicitation to commit murder. Additionally, prosecutors have agreed to make no recommendation to the judge on Goodwin's sentence, which is huge, because that means that it's completely up to the judge at that point, and she can go forward and claim to the judge that she's seen the error of her ways, and she can basically say, I'm throwing myself on the mercy of the court, and it was all a big mistake, and I was rash, and I never meant to kill him, and she can plead all she wants, and does that make me a bad person, and all the other BS that she's been spewing lately.
Yeah.
TMZ broke that story, and that Goodwin, the wife, was busted last month after cops say they caught her messaging Florida inmate Grant Amato about killing Aaron. In one message, she said, "Am I a bad person? Yes, you are, because I chose to end his existence and not divorce." Just get the divorce. She also provided details of where and when Erin would be filming a Ghost Adventures episode with Zach Bagans in California. Nevada statute calls for her to get anywhere from 2 to 10 years in prison on the charge that she's pleading out to.
That's it?
That's it.
Ugh, I don't like that at all.
And being that she's pleading out, unless she gets a judge that considers him or herself a hanging judge, you can split that right down the middle.
Right.
So chances are you're looking at about 6 years.
That's not enough.
And with time served and good behavior, she's probably going to do about 4.
Gross.
The judge will determine her exact sentence on this. She could also be fined up to $5,000, which is nothing. Not a thing.
That's like less than she was going to pay the guy.
Yeah. She was going to pay him $11,500.
Yeah.
Erin's already made the obvious move. Thank God. He filed to divorce Victoria just a couple of days after she was arrested. He's not looking back. He's moving forward with his life. He's kept a brave front. Hasn't said a thing about her.
And kudos to him. Takes a lot not to say anything when somebody has done something so terrible to you and everyone's talking about it. But to his credit, he hasn't said anything,
Yeah. Well, it's the kind of guy he is. He honestly is.
Classy.
Yeah, he's very classy. And he's the type to want to forgive quickly too. I think he shouldn't. Yeah. I honestly, but he would be the type to forgive quickly and move on with his life because he doesn't want that weighing on his soul.
Yeah, I feel like I would do the same because honestly, hatred and unforgiveness becomes like a cancer inside of you. Honestly, I tell my kids it's more painful for you to hate someone than it is for them to be hated by you. They're not feeling it every day. You are.
Yeah.
So, but as long as you keep that toxic, that doesn't mean you let people back in your life.
Right.
This means you don't harbor the badness toward them.
Right. I just hope he makes a clean break. And
yeah, me too. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah. He's a beautiful soul. So I just hope he makes a clean break and finds happiness with someone who truly cares and loves him and takes care of him and sees him for who he is and cherishes him. Just cherishes him because he deserves it. It's been a bit of a rough life for him. So he just deserves someone who's good to him. So, and I know you may be saying from the outside looking in, if you don't know him, you may be like, oh, how rough could it be, Tim? He's on TV. He makes great money. How rough could it be? Well, you have to truly know somebody before you can walk in their shoes. So that's all I'll say. That's all that deserves to be said. All right. Next story has to do with how paranormal beliefs can help people cope in uncertain times. A new study has shown that believing in the supernatural can provide comfort for people who are struggling. 3 people, Andrew Denovan, Ken Drinkwater, and Neil Dagnall, have gotten together to put together a study. Paranormal beliefs create a sense of control, predictability, and comfort in uncertain times, according to academic studies. That doesn't explain why some people find them more appealing than others, though recent studies are starting to offer explanations about why some people feel so drawn to the paranormal. Paranormal beliefs are convictions and notions beyond what mainstream science can explain, like ghosts or psychic abilities. Surveys show that a large number of people in the U.S. and U.K., between about 1/3 and 50%, hold these beliefs. The recent study these 3 put together found that people who feel powerless or uncertain are more likely to believe in the supernatural. This is probably because of the way that our brains process uncertainty. When faced with events that we cannot control, our minds look for patterns and explanations. Paranormal beliefs create structured stories that make random events seem intentional. For example, astrology connects planetary movements to personal experiences, giving believers a way to understand their lives. People put their faith in conspiracy theories for similar reasons. One major reason people turn to paranormal beliefs is to deal with anxiety about life. Realizing that life is unpredictable and has an end can be unsettling. Supernatural beliefs provide comfort by suggesting that a higher power controls human destiny. This perception gives life a sense of purpose and meaning. Stories about ghosts and communication with the dead help people feel connected to lost loved ones. In this way, supernatural thinking helps people cope with fears about the unknown. Believing in the paranormal can provide comfort for some, it says here, but it can be unhelpful in some situations. For instance, a deep belief in supernatural forces might cause some people to blame their problems on supernatural forces instead of looking for practical ways to address them. Indeed, our recent research, it says here, identified that belief in external supernatural forces that exert control, such as gods of fate, is associated with distress. This type of belief reflects a lack of personal control. They wrap it up by saying paranormal beliefs are also influenced by mental shortcuts that shape perception of the world. Pattern recognition is also a good example, where people see connections in random events. This explains why people see faces in clouds, or someone thinks a series of bad events means that they are cursed. I don't know. As I read deeper, and I'll tell you what, I'll post this article so you can read it. It seems to me to be the extreme skeptical scientist look at supernatural stuff. But it's the typical skeptic cynic version of paranormal stuff. So basically everything paranormal is your imagination.
Then I'm freaking crazy, man.
Yeah. So I think that's what that
I'm
is.
a Looney Tunes.
Which I'm not poo-pooing at all either. But to say that everything is your imagination, well,
yeah.
Rather than take an objective look at it, I think is just as stomach turning as it is to say, well, every ghost or every fart is a ghost, right?
Right. I like a hardy skeptic. I mean, I'm a skeptic. I'm a believer, but I'm also very skeptical. I always want to look for the rational reason first.
Right.
And then break it down from there.
I have people send me a lot of videos, and I'll take and break down the video for them and tell them without knowing your scenario, I'll tell you what I see from someone who's had a lot of video experience.
Mm-hmm.
Or even a lot of photographic experience. The photo editor of the school paper, you know. But other than that, but then at that point I'll say, okay, but in the end, it's your experience to believe what you believed. You were there, you shot it, you know what you were seeing, you knew the conditions. I don't. You're coming to me and asking for my quote unquote expert opinion, but I wasn't in the room with you when you shot it. So
yeah, and a lot of paranormal activity we feel in our intuitive sense.
Yeah.
That's kind of your best ghost hunting tool is what are you feeling?
Yeah. So
when you're experiencing all these things.
Yeah. Our next story is a bit along that curve, Jess. The headline is "My mom passed away. Then my wife saw something that shook her to the core." A man has shared the uncanny experience his wife had a year after his mom passed away, revealing how it gave him and his family closure, but they're still disturbed. I'll show you a bit of a picture here. And it says here that this TikTok user's wife saw a ghostly apparition. Oh, this is a stock image of it. Never mind. I thought this was the actual picture. I won't show you the picture then. A man has shared the eerie experience his wife had after his mom died, which still disturbs him to this day. Adam Mawson says he still is freaked out by something that happened a year after his mother's passing. In a video posted to TikTok, he said, "We started having problems with our alarm in the house." He described it how it would go off every few hours, particularly in the small hours. They even called out an electrician. And in the days leading up to the visit, Adam would repeatedly have to go downstairs to reset the alarm. It was on the third night of disturbances that his wife's chilling experience unfolded. After a trip to shut off the alarm, Adam returned to find his wife sitting in bed, fully awake. I asked her if she was okay, he continued. She said she was, and we just went back to sleep. Anyway, the next day we got up and got dressed, but I noticed my wife was really quiet. Oh, that's never good. She ultimately confided in him what she experienced. According to Adam, she said, I've got something to tell you. I don't quite know how to tell you. When you went downstairs to reset the alarm last night, it went really cold in the bedroom and smelled of smoke, and I felt a presence. Adam shared that his wife claimed to have seen something out of the corner of her eye on the edge of the bed. She described turning to face the ghost of his mom, as real as if she were still alive.
Oh, wow.
I don't know that that's an oh wow or a oh ick. According to Adam, his mom conveyed a heart-filled message through his wife, expressing how much she misses and loves all of them, and reassured them that she's okay.
That's nice.
Yeah. He concluded, my wife said to her that we miss her too. And then she just disappeared in front of her. How the hell did she stay calm? I would have freaked out, said the man. This sparked a wave of similar experiences shared by other TikTok users. One user recounted, my mother-in-law died and I woke up one morning to see her sitting on the bed next to my husband. Thought I was dreaming until my husband said, that's weird. Someone was just holding my hand. Another person chimed in, I saw my grandma after she passed. She was just standing in the doorway of my living room, just smiling at me. I looked after her after my granddad passed. A third added, my daughter-in-law passed from cancer last year at age 35. A few months after in bed, I felt tapping on my side. Turning around, she was there. Basically, she just told me to tell my son to open up. Also, a fourth TikTok user chimed in. My mom saw her granddad at the end of her bed when she was in her 20s. She said he appeared, smiled, and disappeared. The same happened with my granddad and my niece. She was 6 at the time that she saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You ever had a relative appear at your bedside?
I have. And I've had a few different experiences like that, but it's making me think, like going back to what we were talking about with my Parashare and the different energies, like all of these feel like they've crossed over and they're coming back for a visitation.
Mm-hmm.
They don't feel scary.
No.
That's why it's not an oh ick. It's an oh,
Yeah.
you know, that's so nice. And they feel like they're settled and their souls are settled. Whereas what we were experiencing was not that.
It was chaos.
Kind of crossed over sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here connecting dots as you're talking.
Yeah. What you were experiencing was chaos energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But these are beautiful. Like, these are the stories I love. I love them so much. And I have multiple experiences with energies like that and loved ones. And they just make me happy. And I always feel bad when people say, I don't believe in ghosts, or I don't believe in that kind of thing. And I think, oh, that's such a bummer. You're never going to get to experience it then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that's so cool.
That's the other part of it too, isn't it? You kind of have to be open to the experience in order to have it. Because if you're never open to it, you won't have it. Although I shouldn't say that. There is a point where I kind of doubted that it existed, and I actually had the experience. Yeah.
The thing is, you might experience it, but you won't experience it in that lovely way that you could have.
Oh, I don't know.
Was it lovely when you felt it?
Yeah, I was sleeping, and I had a very lucid dream. I can tell you briefly. I've told it before on the show, but
yeah,
I was in a very skeptical frame of mind. I didn't know what I believed at the time. It was in my 20s, and my uncle David had passed away. We were just in Colorado for my cousin's wedding, and he was sick. He was really sick, and it was his last days. He had leukemia. Cancer, riddled with cancer. And I knew in my head that he only had a short amount of time. The only thing he was keeping down was my mom's potato salad and ice cream sandwiches. So that was about all he was keeping down, right? And we were watching a lot of wrestling when we were out there. He was getting back into it. So he was having me explain who all the different wrestlers were on Raw, on WWE Raw. Mm-hmm. And we talked quite a bit, and he kept promising my stepdad when next time he came out, they were going to go fishing, stuff like that. But I kind of knew that there wasn't going to be a next time. And so when we got home, we drove straight through from Colorado to home. It was a 12-hour drive, and I was exhausted. I didn't sleep at all on the way home. And I crashed. I crashed hard and went to sleep. When I went to sleep, I had this dream, and it was your stereotypical Simpsons heaven-like dream where the clouds are in the background, the blue sky and the clouds. And here's Uncle David standing there looking the way he looked when I was a kid. And he used to drive truck. Oh. He drove a semi when I was a kid. And he had the grease back hair and the rolled up cigarettes and the T-shirt and blue jeans and cowboy boots on. And just basically said, "How you doing, kid?" I said, "Pretty good." And I'm like, "Why are you standing against clouds?" And he goes, "I think you know why." And I'm like, "Did you?" And he was like, "Yep, while you were on your way home." I was like, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "What's it like?" He just laughed. He goes, "Not as bad as you think it is." I said, "Seriously?" He goes, "Nah." He goes, "I'm not in pain anymore." He said, pardon my language, he said, "I was fucking miserable."
Yeah.
And we just have this conversation. But he said, "There's things I can't tell you."
Right.
But I could tell you this. Everybody's here. Right? And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so we started to talk a little bit, and he just told me, "I know you got worries, and I know you got anxiety, but don't worry about it. You got the rest of your life." I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "Just enjoy, have fun.
Yeah.
Be happy." Right? You got the rest of your life to worry about what comes at the end. Don't worry about the end. Worry about what you're doing now. Right? And it was kind of like, okay. And it was this really important moment, right? And I woke up and I called my mom and I'm like, "Have you talked to Lorraine?" And she's like, "No." I said, "Call her. I think Uncle David passed away." She goes, "Well, but we weren't there all that long ago." And I said, "Call." Because I had this really weird dream. So she called and she said, "Yeah, sure enough, he did."
Right.
And I said, "Yeah, no." So I have had that kind of visitation. Again, I tend to have dream visitations. But I have had that good dream where where they show up. It's a different kind of energy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know it, you feel it, you sense it in your intuitive self.
Yeah.
It's all those little breadcrumbs of experiences that we've had, looking back at the things in our 20s and when we're doubting or we weren't sure or we were scared or whatever it was, all those little breadcrumbs that led us to the place where we are.
Yeah.
So
Most definitely. Let's see here. I think we have 4 more stories here today. Boy, this next one's a doozy, Jess. I don't know what you think about this one. I'm going to try to keep politics out of this next one as much as possible.
All right.
It's going to be tough, though. The U.S. can manipulate time and space, according to Trump's new science director.
Oh, really?
Although if they do it like they hold a meeting on Signal, I don't know if I want them touching it. Michael Kratsios recently made the startling claim during a speech about American science innovations. Yet another thing for them to put their hands on.
I'm just keeping quiet.
Yeah. Conspiracy theorists have long suspected that the United States might be in possession of secretive advanced technologies, a rumor that has seen a lot more traction in recent years thanks to stories of UFO reverse engineering programs and long-running government cover-ups. Now a startling new claim by Michael Kratsios, President Trump's science advisor and director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, has sparked a whole new round of rumors concerning exactly what type of technologies the U.S. might be keeping under wraps. Kratsios had been speaking at an event at the Endless Frontiers Retreat, which focused on rebuilding the foundations of American strength at a time of geopolitical and technological upheaval. Much of his speech had been about past American scientific innovations, with an emphasis of recent stagnation in that area. But the part that raised eyebrows was all to do with specific technologies that he claimed that the U.S. already had access to. We seem to have lost focus and vision, to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along, is what he went to say. But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave us distance annihilated, use things to grow, and improve productivity. Unsurprisingly, his mention of technologies that can manipulate time and space has prompted a great deal of speculation over what he could possibly be referring to. There's no known technology that can do this, so what on earth was he talking about? Could he be aware of some secretive technology kept hidden from the general public, or was this simply a poor choice of words on his part? While some have argued that he was simply speaking metaphorically, others have suggested that he either messed up or revealed something he shouldn't, or was trying to intentionally tip people off to something behind the scenes that nobody currently knows about. So, Jess, with that, what do you think? Are there plenty of loose lips in the Trump administration, or was it metaphorical?
Or maybe he just ate a little too much magic mushroom before he started talking.
No, you don't think there's drugs going around there, do you?
I don't know. But if we could go back and manipulate time, could we go back in time to when my 401k had a little more money in it? You only have to go back a few weeks.
You like to go back a few weeks, would you?
Maybe I would just take it all out and keep it.
Go liquid for a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of people that like to do that.
It hurts.
It does hurt. It hurts a lot. I'll just wrap this one up with this. I think there's a lot of people playing loose with a lot of language in Washington, D.C. these days.
It's kind of wild.
There's going to be a lot of...
I'm just sitting back like a girl with a big tub of popcorn, just like, I'm here for it. What are you going to do? I'm just watching it. Watching it all unfold.
I think if there's such a thing as a shadow government, there's going to be a big red wedding coming. You see a lot of people disappearing soon.
Oh my goodness. Kim, this is a scary scenario. I didn't sign up for a horror movie.
You're going to see one if that's the case, because too many people...
They are my favorite kind, so...
Too many people have been talking, and talking loud.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Pretty brave. And in a short period of time. It's only been what? 4 months?
Oh man, it feels longer than that.
It does. It feels like it's been years. But people have been saying a lot of stuff that you just don't say. Not out loud. No other administration said it. And if there truly is such a thing as a shadow government, they can't be happy right now. And there's been many a leader that's been taken down by that shadow government, if it exists.
Right. Theoretically.
Again, I'm just putting out theories. But, boy,
I'm glad I'm not in a government position. Can you imagine?
Yeah, me too.
I'm like an open book, and I can't not blurt stuff out. I'd been killed a long time ago.
Oh, I can keep it secret. Especially when, when they tell you your life depends on it.
I guess that's
easy.
different. I don't know. If I knew something like really exciting, I'd definitely be calling you. And then we'd be, probably putting it on the podcast. I guess I'd have to tell all my friends.
Oh, it's pretty easy when they tell you, well, it's your life or else.
You're going to die.
Yeah, you can keep quiet about a lot of stuff.
I can keep your personal secrets, but I don't know. If I knew stuff about aliens and technologies that, could take us back in time and space, I don't know if I could keep the secret. I'd be too excited.
But Jess, if they sat down with you, they had you sign that agreement. And
maybe.
And they said, Jess, under penalty of death of you and your children.
Yeah, I'd be like, just sew my lips together so I can't talk, please.
and the next 3 generations after that.
Oh, well, I guess if you threaten my children, I could do just about anything.
Yeah. And, you don't know anything. You haven't seen anything. There's nothing in the sky, is there?
What aliens?
See? It's real easy to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I could if my children's life depended on it, for sure.
And they probably would.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's scary.
until every one of those overlords is gone, you don't say a thing.
No.
It's a big organization.
I'll just have to sit down and plot how to kill them all so then I could finally talk and spill the beans.
Now that's a Hollywood movie.
How do I get them all dead at one time? Oh, just invite them over for a big party and, I don't know, poison them all.
There's only one way. There's only one way, Jess. Jesus Christ.
He is the way, the truth, and the light.
Well, it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. You ever seen the SNL skit where it's...
Oh, now I'm getting it. I thought you were getting all Eastery on me.
Well, that too. Yeah, that too. But no, you remember the SNL skit where it's Jesus with the machine guns? Yeah. Yeah. Well, that, and I was trying to transition to the next story.
You're so good with the segues, Tim.
I'm trying.
Lay it on me. Wait. That's what she said.
Yes! There you go. You tell your own jokes. I don't even need to do the punchlines anymore. Well, Jess, and one of the crazier theories we'll have this week, bombshell research is saying that the body of Jesus Christ could be hidden in a double cave beneath a whopping stone block beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt.
My goodness. They really got him buried.
Right? Boy, were they...
No one's going to roll this stone away. It's a pyramid.
That's right. No one's going to move him from here. Old Pontius Pilate really got him this time, didn't he?
Oh, man.
What? Let's read this story and find out what they are talking about. Oh, okay. Now it makes sense. Now that I look at it. The body of Jesus Christ in the Ark of the Covenant. By the way, I love that movie, Jesus Christ in the Ark of the Covenant. Have you seen that? It's a Spielberg production. It's all AI, by the way, too. It was made for only 15 cents.
It must be good.
You see how I tied that all in? I've tied in the entire show in that one story.
Nice little bow.
Yeah. The body of Jesus Christ in the Ark of the Covenant. By the way, Harrison Ford stars in that one. It's his new movie. He turns into the Red Hulk in that.
Oh, I'm definitely watching that one. I love Harrison Ford. Now I have to get a Jeep too.
Yes. I love driving this Jeep, but it's a Ford. Why I sound like Gonzo, I have no idea. I love driving this Jeep, but it's a Ford. I don't know. Okay. The body of Jesus Christ in the Ark of the Covenant, which I hear they bring Sean Connery back for this one too.
I've always been in love with him. I'll take him dead or alive.
Wow. Dark. Maybe well found in the Cave of the Patriarchs, according to jaw-dropping research from a British anthropologist who's looking to set to blow everything we know about Jesus' body after death out of the water, which is impossible because he walks on it.
I was just thinking that. We're on fire today.
I know, right? A Dr. Warner, it doesn't say what his first name is, probably brothers, has shown all his findings from extensive research to the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities. According to the scientists, the sarcophagus of Jesus Christ in the Ark of the Covenant, why do they keep putting it that way, have been stored for centuries in a hidden double cave beyond a stone block which seals the southern passageway of the subterranean chamber beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza. Dr. Warner first presented his 10-year research project to the director of the science office around Christmas of 2021. So it's recent news. The director responded with enthusiastic support, calling his research a scientific revolution for the benefit of all humanity. And you know what he said after that, Jess? That this belongs in a museum. I think I watched one too many Indiana Jones movies. Belongs in a museum.
Like turned in your brain.
It is. Asps, very dangerous. You go first. Warner's working hypothesis was reinforced by extensive field work in Egypt and site surveys deep inside the pyramid using the latest technology. Surveys which showed man-made structures beyond the last remaining stone block in the southern passageway, confirmation that his hypothesis was correct. Dr. Warner's video and photographic records were the first such images to emerge from the deepest and most remote part of the original pyramid structure carved out of the bedrock itself. Following delivery of his research data to Egyptian officials, the Supreme Council of Antiquities made the rare exception of appointing Dr. Warner as a consultant grafted into the Scan Pyramids mission, which is a consortium of international scientists and engineers from France, Canada, Japan, and Egypt. The team are directing its muon radiation particles through stone to look deep into the pyramids. After meeting at the office of Ahmed Issa, who is Minister for Tourism and Antiquities in Egypt, on October 20th of 2022, Egypt agreed to receive my research data free of charge in return for a commitment that the Scan Pyramids mission would radiate beyond the block in the subterranean chamber, said Dr. Warner. However, the muon radiation scan has not been completed, which leaves Egypt in breach of its agreement. Consequently, Dr. Warner has enlisted the support of Prime Minister Nawaf Salam of Lebanon, who is also president of the United Nations International Court of Justice, in the hope that he can arbitrate to avoid an international row breaking out as a result of opposition from Zahi Hawass, whose influence and ego are notoriously grandiose, it says here, proclaiming himself the guardian of the pyramids. This is an Indiana Jones movie, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah. Warner states, although the project has received support from the very highest authorities in Egypt, including the office of the president himself, Hawass remains an obstacle to progress. New scientific ideas often attract violent opposition from the old guard, as evidenced throughout history. He says we have Copernicus, Galileo, and Giordano Bruno to testify for this. These Renaissance men were vilified for thinking that stars were distant suns with their own solar system. does it have to do with Jesus beneath the Pyramid of Giza? Once thought too heretical to be spoken out loud, ideas such as these are now accepted as inescapable truths. Dr. Warner, who confirms that he is not religious, took a purely secular approach to the project. He was able to pinpoint the exact location using the scientific method and triangulated data from the texts of all three Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Interesting. By augmenting this data with written records from the ancient cuneiform clay tablets of Mesopotamia, Warner used the scientific discipline of etymology to prove his hypothesis that Mount Sinai, the mountain of Israel, and the Mount of Olives, Mount Zion, and the Quran's mountain of light were all one and the same mountain, the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Hence, Jesus gave his Sermon on the Mount at the Great Pyramid, the birthplace of all Abrahamic religions, and the mountain land which the biblical Abraham journeyed to from Ur. GARP, or GARP, has published the entire research dossier and a comprehensive archive of government correspondences at www.garp.space, where Dr. Warner has also presented his binary star theory, and it pertains to ancient Egyptian art and the winged disc iconography of Lower Egypt. Furthermore, Dr. Warner uses quantum theory to demonstrate that religious prophecy is rooted in science, as evidenced in the government-sponsored projects of today. Experimental scientists such as Stephen A. Schwartz have published reports on non-local consciousness or channeling, with which Warner says is prophecy by another name, or put another way, the ability to experience future space-time events while rooted in the present. Dr. Warner explains that the phenomena is akin to what physicists today call quantum entanglement, or the same principle which is at the heart of the latest quantum supercomputer designs. Interesting. Dr. Warner also said that he believes the discovery has the potential for peace in the Middle East and wants the last stone block removed this year to flow for the Ark to be displayed as the Jewel of the Nile at the opening of the new Grand Egyptian Museum, which is right next to the pyramid site in Giza. I believe it's Esposito, who is the Director General of the Israeli Antiquities Authority, has wished Dr. Warner success in his mission. Boy, this sounds like an eloquently written press release, if I've ever heard one.
It does.
What do you think, Jess? Jesus Christ and the Ark of the Covenant? Will you go see it when it goes to theaters?
Oh, I'm there.
Are you there? Yeah, me too.
Especially if my boy Sean's going to be in it.
Well, yeah, you never know. Yeah. Indiana was the dog's name.
It was my dog's name, and he was a good boy.
It's my chipmunk's name.
I know.
Yeah, Indy is my chipmunk's name. Yeah. It's an inside joke. That's why I named him Indy. Because he's adventurous and he has no fear.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I named him Indy. And then I put a little hat on him.
No.
And he has a little whip. Yeah. Although I think he's mad at me right now because I moved his dish outside. Chipmunks are temperamental.
He'll get over it.
He will get over it, yeah. A massive circular tomb is filled with battle-scarred people unearthed in Peru. It's another Indiana Jones story for you. Human skeletons from a large stone tomb may help archaeologists understand a mysterious pre-Inca population in Peru. The battle-scarred skeletons of 24 people have been discovered in Peru, revealing new evidence of an ancient conflict. The site El Caraca is located at the Ataco River Valley in south coastal Peru. It was occupied around AD 1000 to 1450 by the, holy cow, is this a name, Jess? By the Chuquibamba or Aruni people. Nailed it!
You did nail it. Dang.
Right? The Chuquibamba or Aruni people. It's like I live there, but not really. who lived there before or after Spanish conquest. Archaeologists know little about the Aruni beyond the many petroglyphs they leave on cave walls in the area. But in October of 2024, Josef Sokolski, we used to have a bully in Blaine High School named Sokolski, by the way.
Oh, really?
I wish we would have sent him to Aruni. Of the Institute of Archaeology at the University of Wrocław in Poland, and his team launched an excavation at the site and uncovered a large circular stone tomb filled with 24 skeletons of men, women, and children. Well, that had to be fun to run into.
That's so sad.
The collective burial included fragments of pottery, bone, and stone tools, corn cobs, and textiles. I don't want to see where those corn cobs were sticking out of. I'm just saying.
Well, it's a game of cornhole that got a little wild.
Hey, the Aruni are partiers. Preliminary analysis of the skeletons, which were wrapped in textiles, suggested that all the people died due to injuries consistent with cornhole. No, with battle wounds from corn cobs in inappropriate places. The bodies were buried in a tomb along with rich grave goods, so Sokolski concluded that their side won the battle, with surviving compatriots giving the massacred victims an honorable burial, according to a translated Facebook post. I didn't know they had Facebook posts back then, but evidently they did. Congratulations. I would have thought it would have been MySpace because it was so long ago, but who knew?
I guess there is something with this space and time thing.
Yeah. They just went back and put up a Facebook post. Sokolski and his team are continuing their work in Peru until the end of April. They're currently documenting the skulls using 3D scanning, working to conserve the textiles they found, and analyzing the pottery and wood items recovered from the burial, and also checking their Facebook page. Who knew? They had a Facebook page, Jess. It's the oldest joke in the book.
You're funny.
One more, and then we're going to our palate cleanser, which I promise you is tasty, or is it? How do you feel about a peeping Bigfoot?
If I saw Bigfoot peeping in my window, I'd be excited.
Are you excited by that?
Oh, creepy. But I would get my camera out and I'd be like, oh my God, everyone, I found Bigfoot. That has to be like a mask or something.
Why do I hear this? Wait, is the camera shaking when I do that? What's that banging against the trailer? Peeping Bigfoot scares a Washington vacationer. Film at 11.
Can't believe they got a picture of it.
He was like, up against the trailer.
Oh, Bigfoot's a pervert. I knew it.
He's a big prevert. Just throw him some beef jerky. He'll be fine. Get it? Beef jerky.
Oh, gosh.
It's amazing how creatures on the cryptozoological taxonomy chart have yet to be photographed with a high-quality camera. Of course, AI fills in for that. So these days, we don't know what's real and what's not. Ain't that the truth, sister?
Mm-hmm.
But one man claims he has captured the real deal. A Bigfoot peering through a window in his cabin like a plush peeping Tom. Again, it's the potato camera we can't get over. Don't any paranormal witnesses have Galaxy phones? This doesn't look like it was taken from a Galaxy phone, does it?
Oh, it looks not real.
No, I know, doesn't it? It looks like somebody in a Planet of the Apes mask.
Yeah, I have one down. I have a whole Bigfoot suit downstairs.
Do you?
It looks like someone in a Bigfoot suit.
It does, yeah. In the YouTube video, Unexplained Mysteries, they feature the creepy story and produce the photos before going into a doc-like explanation on Bigfoot. The quote is, well, many consider Bigfoot to be nothing more than folklore. Others are convinced that his elusive creature is very real. One man's experience in a remote cabin in Washington has recently reignited the debate after he photographed what appears to be a Bigfoot peering through the window during the night. Was that dramatic enough for you?
It was good.
There's more. The man who snapped the Sasquatch selfie said he was frozen in fear while he saw the gorilla-like face. He grabbed his phone and captured the moment. And if anything, it's a creepy picture indeed.
It is. It is creepy. And I don't want to be skeptical of it because then I feel like I'm poo-pooing his experience, and I think he had an experience, but it's like so perfect.
This is the post-coital picture. He's practically sleeping.
Oh man, if that's real, that's crazy.
It's Bigfoot napping after he shot a Bigfoot rope. The man who snapped the Sasquatch selfie said he was frozen in fear. Oh, I read that part already. I was frozen in fear reading that. As far as believability, that's up to you. It says here in the article, they're on the fence about it. On one hand, a Bigfoot peering through a cabin window tracks for all the paranormal events going on in the world. On the other, taking a photo on what looks like a Nokia cell phone from 1992 is a bit sus. It does look like a 1992 Nokia cell phone.
I don't know if he was excited and the phone was moving a little bit.
I got it.
You for reenacting that so perfectly.
Wasn't that good?
It was good.
Yeah.
I think there's hope for you in Hollywood yet, Tim.
Oh, I try. All right, our final story today. This is your palate cleanser. This is what they found. Stone amulet or delicious $64,000 gummy bear. A 64-year-old gummy bear. The 64,000-year-old gummy bear. It could be $64,000 too.
Is it? It cannot be a rock.
What do you think? Does it look delicious?
I don't know.
Is that delicious?
I want to lick it.
God. I think I'm a little flustered.
I want to see if it tastes like cherry or strawberry or fruit punch.
Tastes like whatever you want it to taste like, girl. What? Slapicio is its name. A 6,000-year-old amber gummy bear that may have been a Stone Age amulet, is what it says here. Stone Age amulet.
That's what it is. Yeah, you probably shouldn't lick it then.
Well, unless you like germs. This little bear carved out of amber might have been an amulet for a Stone Age hunter. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Or as Kramer used to say, yeah. This unique carved amber bear was discovered in northern Poland by workers digging for peat. I don't know who Pete is, but hopefully they found him. In 1887, an ancient hunter likely wore it as a protective charm, since the bear was the most powerful and dangerous animal that lived in the area during the Stone Age. However, this bear looks like a baby bear. Look at the little baby bear.
It literally looks like a gummy bear.
It
it's
does.
so cute.
That's not a scary bear. That's a Pooh Bear. I'm not afraid of that bear. And it kind of looks like it's already been sucked on a little bit. Doesn't it? I mean, that's not sharp edges.
Yeah, I'm not the only one who's confused by it. And many of the people researching had to taste it and see what flavor it was.
Right. They're like, what is it? Is that a honey flavor? Is that a cherry flavor? Is that a lemon? Honey lemon?
It'd be watermelon.
I mean,
there are many options when it's that shade.
Yeah, watermelon.
Pomegranate if they wanted to be fancy.
Oh, pomegranate. Girl. Probably was pomegranate if it was 1887. Probably one of them funky flavors. Probably peat moss is what it was.
Ew.
Peat moss and anisynth, whatever that flavor was. Isn't that a flavor?
Yeah, I can't say it either. I would try, but
Anus?
The anus flavor.
The anus flavor. It's one of them. Yeah, it's peat moss and anus. Yeah. So, yeah, there was an ancient hunter that was likely to wear it as a protective charm since the bear was the most powerful and dangerous animal that lived during the Stone Age. Slupcio, 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 or little guy from Slupsk in Polish, is the name that was given to the amber bear in 2013. Slupcio. That's the best they could do.
I like it.
Yeah? Kind of growing on you?
It's cute.
Slupcio?
Kind of cute. Slupcio.
Slupcio. Kind of sounds dirty. I'm not going to lie.
It's a dirty bear.
It's a dirty, dirty bear. It's been licked on over and over again. That's what they named him in 2013 when a Polish kindergartner won a contest. Oh, see, there you go. To name the artifact. The lucky winner also snagged a teddy bear out of the deal.
Oh, I wonder where we came up with that name. That's so different.
Probably something he heard his mom and dad yelling in the bedroom.
It's a kinky sex
Oh,
name.
Slupcio, give me the Slupcio. The little guy from Slupsk? You give me the what? I think that, yeah, that's probably where he heard it, yeah. Anybody have a name for the bear? Something that my mom always asks my dad for. The Slupcio. He says, what we're naming bear. I don't know why it's a bad Russian accent, but. The carved bear is on display at the National Museum in, I believe this would be pronounced Szczecin, which is around 136 miles or 220 kilometers southwest of the original find spot. And he's become something of a local symbol, where copies of him are now widely available as souvenirs, Jess. So maybe you can get a candy Slupcio.
Yeah, give me a sucker one. I can lick it all day long.
I think I dated a candy Slupcio in high school, by the way. The figurine is 4 inches long and 165 and 1.65 inches tall. Doesn't say how big around it is. And may date to Europe's Mesolithic period. I almost said mesothelioma. I don't know why. It's probably licking it will give you mesothelioma.
Yeah, you're going to die.
You are going to die from it. The Mesolithic period was from 12,000 to 5,000 years ago. At this time, people were mostly hunter-gatherers. So archaeological evidence of their settlements is rare. But in the area of Pomerania, is that where the dogs ruled?
Maybe.
Oh. On the southern shore of the Baltic Sea, where they did their business. Archaeologists have found Stone Age sites with artifacts such as pottery, tools, and weapons. What did Pomeranians use for weapons? Little tiny spears.
Tiny little. Yeah.
Little knives. Along with objects made from amber that washed ashore. This type of amber came from marine sediments. What kind of sediments do marines have? Like, I really wish you'd come visit me more often. Yeah. Slupcio's legs are essentially just bulges. Don't tell him that. And he cannot stand on his own, but the bear's head... Oh, that's so sad. But the bear's head...
Bulgy, useless legs.
Yeah, bulgy, useless legs, and his name is Slupcio. God, how sad. But the bear's head is clearly carved to show his ears, mouth, nostrils, and eyes. In the middle of the figurine's torso, there's a hole that goes all the way through the amber. Well, Slupcio, you little Polish slut. Likely used by the ancient hunter to thread a strap for hanging or carrying the little guy by his, Yeah. At the end of World War II, Slupcio was taken out of Poland by the Germans, of course, along with numerous other ancient artifacts, and the amber bear ended up at the Strausland Museum until he was returned to Szczecin in 2009. When in Germany, Slupcio was studied by experts who called him a Bernstein bar or amber bear. Bet you didn't know that's what the Bernstein bears were.
Yeah. That would have been a better name for him.
A Bernstein bear? A Bernstein bar?
Bernstein bar.
Yeah. That's right. It would have been, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have been cute. A little Bernstein bar.
Yeah, and we could have written books about him and then changed the name in America.
Yeah, and really messed with everyone and pretended like we didn't change the name.
And then been like, whatever effect. I can't think this time of night anymore. And determined that all of the carving was ancient on the Bernstein bar that we misspell. And Mandela
But then spell right.
Mandela effect, which is spelled Mandela effect now because I changed it because of the Mandela effect. Yeah. So stick that in your Bernstein bar. But since Slepsia was a stray find on more than a century ago, experts remain divided on when it was actually made. Oh boy, there's a controversy here, Jess. We don't have to get into it, but they claim that it was probably, researchers are saying that the objects are more likely to be Upper Paleolithic in date, a period from 50,000 to 12,000 years ago. The amber bears may be further evidence of the Paleolithic tradition of representing animals in cave paintings or portable objects. The hole in the object is probably just as old. Carving bears in amber, by the way, a natural material that looks like stone, floats in seawater, is translucent when polished, and smells fragrant when burned, may have been perceived as imbuing the material with magic, making Slepsio a powerful Stone Age amulet.
I think he was magical.
With bulky legs.
Yep. His little bulky, useless legs.
Yeah. His little oatmeal legs. Slepsio.
I can relate to that sometimes, though. I can.
You have magical little oatmeal legs?
Sometimes I just feel like my legs are blobs of uselessness. I just want to lay on the couch and watch 1,000-Pound Sisters.
Oh, boy. Me too. I've never seen an episode of 1,000-Pound Sisters.
You have to. I'm obsessed. I love them. I cry.
You cry at 1,000-Pound Sisters?
They do, because they have such hard lives, and I'm rooting for them, and then they don't come through, and then I'm sad, and then Tammy gets up to 725 pounds, and I'm like, no, Tammy, you're gonna die. And then she got it off, though. Oh, you got to watch it. You'll love them. They're funny.
You know, if Ozempic sponsored that show, there wouldn't be a show. You know?
Probably not. I mean, they really have gotten their lives together, though. I will say we're on like season 6 now. It's coming together. I mean, they're still funny and living a different kind of life. But
all it takes is one GLP-1 drug to end that fucker, and then they can have a normal life.
Now I'm just rooting for their skin removal surgery because they got the extra skin. They got to get. I don't know. How did we get on that topic? I don't know. The Slepsio and his messed up legs.
Yeah, it's Slepsio and his messed up legs. He was.
It's late, Tim. I think we're getting loopy.
Yeah, we're getting punchy. We should end this thing. All right. That'll do it for today, folks. That's Supernatural News and Parashare and our Jammy Jam for today. I'm still going to keep tomorrow a secret because much like the Easter holiday, I've kept this thing in a stone cave for 3 days, and I'm going to resurrect this fucker tomorrow.
All right.
I mean, I didn't mean it like that.
Oh,
that's a little sacrilegious.
This is happening. Yeah,
this is happening. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes secrets are exciting.
Yeah, I know. I'm
excited to see who you have on Thursday.
Tomorrow's Thursday show. He is risen.
Yeah.
I'm having Christ on. No, I'm kidding. It's gonna.
Wow.
No, I'm not.
I'm tuning in for that.
If I could pull that booking, this show would get at least 5 downloads. It would be great. Boy, am I punchy right now, aren't I?
I think you need to go have a cocktail. I think there's an old fashioned in your future, Tim.
There's one right here.
I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tomorrow, 11 of the 12 disciples, evidently Judas couldn't make it. So, see what I did there?
Oh, man.
Nah, we'll have a show on tomorrow. It'll be original too, I'm sure. Well, that'll do it for today. Jess, I want to thank you so much for being a trooper here on Easter week.
Always my pleasure.
And for regaling us with your Parashare story, which is very interesting.
Good. I hope people enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, you opened some avenues this week, which is very interesting. So, gave us a lot to think about this week. So.
And I hope they'll share some. I love your guys' stories. Yes. They're my favorites.
Yes, most definitely. So that'll do it for today. Again, tomorrow, stay tuned for a special mystery guest. Way to end the Easter week and I shouldn't say Easter week, the holiday week, because we don't want to forget our Jewish friends either that have just had Passover. So, and then next week, we continue the madness. It just keeps rolling, Jess. We've got some good shows coming up here, going from April into May. So we've got some really good stuff on board. So looking forward to the spring. Some good stuff. So I want to thank you, Jess, for being on today. Again, folks, Apple app will remind you, if you haven't update. If you haven't downloaded in the past, download. Check out the store, darknessradioshow.com. Check out Jess's site, jessicafreeburg.com. Get yourself an autographed book. And check us out on YouTube. If you're not watching the videos on YouTube, the original Darkness Radio. For Jessica Freeburg, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for joining us for Supernatural News right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio.